I would like to welcome you to our webinar with the theme Digital Defense and Intelligence, a Cyber plus AI Deep Dive. So my name is Msasia Shejo, and I'll be your host and MC today. On behalf of the entire team from Adept Solutions, we would like to thank you all for taking your time to join us today. So maybe before we start, I would like to introduce Adept Solutions. Who is Adept Solutions? Okay, so Adept Solutions is a leading ICT solutions provider, which is based in Zimbabwe, and we are hoping to expand to other markets like Zambia, South Africa, etc. So we provide a range of services, which include ICT training and certification preparation. Some of you might call this capacity development. We also specialize in software development and systems integration. We also offer cybersecurity services, including the assessments, the risk management, and awareness programs. We also offer software licensing. We also do AI and automation solutions. And we also offer IT consulting. And we also do exam testing services. That's just briefly about Adept Solutions. So whether you are a corporate organization or you are in the government department or even a tech enthusiast, we are here to help you build secure, smart, and future-ready digital ecosystems. Okay, so maybe before we start, I would like to just mention a few housekeeping items. Just a quick note before we begin. The session will be recorded for those who may want to review it later. We're going to post this webinar on our YouTube channel, so you can go and watch the webinar on our YouTube later. We can also share the recordings on your emails if you need the recording. And we're also going to have a Q&A session at the end of each presentation. So feel free to type your questions in the Q&A box at any time. You can even raise your hand, and the facilitator or the presenter will assist you. Make sure your microphones are on mute every time, unless you are given the chance to speak. Okay. Any questions before I start? Okay, so we want to start our webinar. I would like to introduce our first presenter, who is Tendai Neta. Tendai is the head of technical services and responsible information security analyst at Adept Solutions Zimbabwe, with a background in cybersecurity, cloud technologies, and enterprise IT training. Tendai leads strategic implementations across Microsoft platforms, governance, and digital transformation. He is a certified professional in Microsoft Identity, which is SC300. He's also certified in ISC2, certified in cybersecurity, CompTIA, and EC Council, and is actively delivering technical enablement programs to government, financial, and private sector clients. Tendai is passionate about empowering teams through knowledge, blending hands-on expertise and practical real-world insights in both cyber defense and AI-powered business solutions. He will guide us through the current cybersecurity threat landscape, frameworks, and intelligent defense strategies that businesses can adopt today. Okay, so I'll hand over to Tendai. Please be reminded, if you have any question, just type in on the Q&A chat box and we'll respond to your questions later on after the presentation. Over to you, Tendai.
Thank you very much, Musa, for that lovely introduction. I feel bigger than I am. Thank you for that. So welcome, guys. I want to take the opportunity to welcome you guys on this Friday. This is a Wednesday afternoon. On this Wednesday afternoon, thank you for being patient and waiting for us to get our things ready and started. So what we're going to be talking about today is fairly much of going to be mixed in together. So I'm going to be talking a little bit of artificial intelligence, and at the same time, I'm going to be covering some reconnaissance, right? Some cybersecurity activities. So I'm going to be showing how, even in today's landscape, how us cybersecurity professionals, as we like to call ourselves, or pen testers, as we like to call ourselves, are using artificial intelligence to help us at our jobs. So I'm going to be jumping in, mixing a little bit of AI within it as well. Guys, at any moment, if you feel you have a question, I want to make this session as practical as much as I can. I want to show you the real techniques and show you the real techniques that people are using, or that cybersecurity or pen testers use. Hopefully that will excite you to want to learn more. To want you to become a penetration tester. Okay, so our field is very small. Right, there's only a few people who I know do penetration testing, and it's this gap of knowledge and content versus practical skill. Going into the cybersecurity field, one thing I've definitely learned is that there's a differentiation between the two. You may get as many certs, and trust me, I've stacked up the certs from CompTIAs to ISC2s and so forth. But the practicalness is something that is not fully covered in the certifications. But that is what I hopefully want to impact and give to you today, and also tell you where you can find where you can find the information or the resources to learn the practical side of this as well. All right, so without further ado, I think we can begin. So good morning to everyone. Of course, I'm Tendai Neta. I'm the head of technical services at Adept Solutions, and I want to welcome you to this exciting session. Right, so inside the hacker's mindset, Recon 101. Right? So we're going to learn how to perform the first phase of penetration testing. These are the tools. These are the techniques I use myself when I'm given a target and I'm asked to perform a penetration test. So today we're diving into the first stage of every cyber attack, right? This is the part that happens before the attacker even touches your system, right? And we call this reconnaissance. So in cybersecurity, we have adopted a lot of military lingo, if that may be. There's the reconnaissance phase, there's the exploitation phase, there's the attack phase. There's many of them that come after this. We're just going to deal with the reconnaissance phase for today. Hopefully in the future, next month, we can then move further beyond that and start to talk about exploitation and things like that, and enumeration and so forth. So believe it or not, reconnaissance is actually the best, not the best, but it's actually the biggest activity, right? You need to prepare before you attack a target. So this is where the real magic or mayhem actually begins. So by the end of the session, you understand how attackers think, right? And you also, by understanding how they think, you understand why stopping them begins long before they even, before you even get a firewall alert, right? Before you even have your intrusion detection system alerting you to something, the attack would have already started. So we want to be able to secure that reconnaissance phase, right? We want to make sure that our organization is not leaking too much data that could actually potentially help the attackers or the hacker or the malicious actor get into a network easily. Okay, so I've got a little code for you here. Before an attacker ever launches a hack, they study you in detail. Yeah. So today I'll show you how and how you can stop them. Apologies. So reconnaissance is all about gathering intelligence, right? So think of it like a digital stakeout, right? Hackers want to collect as much data as they can without you even noticing, by the way. So all of these things I'm going to talk about passive reconnaissance. So passive reconnaissance and active reconnaissance. I will explain those just now, right? So this is where the magic begins. And I know you may ask yourself, okay, what information do they even want, right? What are hackers even looking for that I need to be wary of? So we'll answer all those questions as we go along. Right? So the first phase of the attack, this is our reconnaissance phase. Right? So reconnaissance, again, just to go over the definition before we get into the practical side of it, build your foundation block really nice. It is the process of collecting information about a target system or network, right? Usually without causing any alerts. So those are the two. So there's the two types. There's the passive reconnaissance where no interaction happens with the target whatsoever. And what I mean by that is I'm not sending any network packet to the target. Right? I'm just doing this on the surface web. I'm performing this without ever interacting with any IT system. The active reconnaissance part is where we have direct interaction. This is when I start to send network packets from my machine to the target, and then I start to glean information about that. So the less you know about what's publicly is exposed, the easier you are as a target. So if you are not performing passive or active reconnaissance on your own organizations, that is a massive, massive problem, and you need to address that as soon as possible. Right? So what attackers know before they attack is what determines how successful they will be. So before I go in any more further, does anyone have a question about the reconnaissance phase? I want to make sure that your foundation is built in nicely. Do we all understand what passive reconnaissance means and what active reconnaissance means as well? Just raise your hands if you can, so I know that we're on the same page. Okay, so I'm going to assume we definitely are. Right? Good. That's okay. That's perfect. So I'm Tendai, and I'll be sharing with you the reconnaissance steps that cyber threat actors take before they attack your environment. And so we're going to go. That was our introduction. We're done with that. Now we're going to look into the reconnaissance, and then of course we'll end with a call to action because we want something to change, right? The reason why we are gathered here and having this webinar is because as Adept Solutions, we believe there's something that needs to change in our industry. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you guys have watched Money Heist. If you have not, it's just a movie about bank robbers, right? So let's put it this way. If hacking was a bank heist, just like they did in Money Heist, the reconnaissance phase is where we are watching the guards, right? This is where we are checking if the vault doors close properly, right? This is when we are figuring out the lunch break schedule. And I don't know if any of you guys do this, but when I walk into banks, sometimes I just look and say, okay, where are the cameras set up? Okay, I don't mean to do anything malicious, don't get me wrong, but I'm just trying to explain to you that is the reconnaissance phase of it all, right? The point is hackers don't just barge in. They don't just suddenly say, sit down and be like, okay, I want to attack this target. I'm going to instantly start sending network packets. No, by the time your intrusion detection system or your intrusion prevention system is alerting you, it's already too late, right? They have planned meticulously. They plan meticulously, and you'd be surprised, right? What they can learn just with just a browser and some time, right? 99% of my reconnaissance activity is not being done through Kali Linux, and Kali Linux is what we use for pen testing. It's done through the browser. So I'm going to show you how that happens, right? So that is passive reconnaissance. So let's get real a bit. What are the things involved in passive reconnaissance. Can someone really actually sit at a browser and, start to glean information? Essentially, can Google hack you? And the short and easy answer to that is yes. So we're going to look at Google Dorking, going to look at the WHOIS lookups, going to look at maybe DNS dumpster, Shodan, and then I'm going to show you how public LinkedIn or even job posts can potentially be a vulnerability and that we need to be aware of. I'm going to go over here to my browser. And as you can see, I have a few tabs open. So the first thing I'm going to start off with is this idea of Google Dorking, right? And Google Dorking essentially is, to explain it in a very easy way that will not confuse you, it is advanced search filtering on Google. So you can search on Google. Usually people would just, they'll just be like, I am looking for a company, right? Adept Solutions. Sorry, let me come back here. Say I'm looking for Adept Solutions. Right, and there you go. You've got your information. So you could filter out for certain things that you are looking for, right, within Adept Solutions. And what I mean by that is you could say, I am looking for the site Adept Solutions. And then you could then further filter out and say, okay, within that site of Adept Solutions, I am searching for A, B, C, and D, right? Maybe I'm searching for file type. File type, right? And then I do that, and then I type what I need. Now, obviously, I would go around doing that. I will do other companies that I think at least you guys, if you decide to go and try testing this out, it won't be too much of a problem. So just to also give you a hint, when you're doing passive reconnaissance, because I'm not touching any of your IT systems, this is legal, right? This is publicly available data. I'm just using Google. I'm not touching any of your systems. So that is another thing to be aware of, that there are some parts of hacking that are very much legal that people can be doing. And, so let's say, which site can I use? Let's just say Facebook, because Facebook is quite an easy one. Information. And then as you can see, just by that, I've already got links to PDFs and other information that I'm pretty sure maybe is meant to be out there just because it's Facebook, but maybe some of it could be confidential. Right. So if you've got doc sites that are linked to your website, you've got XLS files, you've got maybe PDF files that you have mistakenly left. And this does happen, guys. Sometimes we upload something, sometimes we upload too much data, and then we leave it. Or sometimes we upload a document not knowing that there's sensitive information that could compromise us. Right? If any of that information is left out, this is some of the queries you would use. And if I even go even further, there's a really good cheat sheet from the SANS Institute, if any of you have heard of it, that goes deep down into the different types of operators, right, that you can use. So if you want to search for Mac explicit words, you can use that. And if we even go further down, right, site, this is searching only on one website, right? Maybe you want a link linked to pages. In title, that means something that's in the title, in the URL, all of these, right? So this is all publicly available and you can make use of it. Another place is exploit database. Exploit database actually has a set of Google hacking data, right? It's got its own link where it's got the Google hacking database. And every day, someone who finds a new Google Dorking query that may be useful or that he may think is good for us to share with the hacker community. See, here, this is an author quite known. I mean, he has submitted two, but he did submit two in one day. But you see, he's someone who's constantly submitting. And then he tells you exactly the category. Right, okay, so this is for maybe open private keys within GitHub. Right, so all you have to do is just take that, copy it, boom, you're searching, and you can edit it accordingly. So as you can see, these are already open SSH private keys that are being stored on GitHub, that are being stored on the GitHub account, on GitHub accounts. Right. So all this information, if I was to take one of these SSH keys or find an SSH key that is belonging to a big organization, that would be a lot of, that would be bad trouble. And look at how many results you can go through. There's almost 10 pages. Right? With Google, after page number 2, you're not getting anything useful. But with Google Dorking, all the way to page 10, trust me, you're getting things that are useful, right? This is an open SSH private key right over here. So how can we edit this? Right, we could change the website that we're looking at here. Right, we could say maybe GitLab if we want. I'm not too sure what the URL for GitLab is, but you get the point, right? This is very much editable in however you want to use it. So that is Google Dorking, right? I don't want you guys to stop here. Take the time to go through all these links. I will ask my team to also send, because I have attendance, I'll ask my team to send some of these resources so that you can look at them, right? Start to Google Dork your own website at work. Find out what has been left exposed that we should probably be attentive to, or that we should probably take down as soon as possible. Right. That way, you're taking already one activity that such actors could perform. Okay, so I'm just going to. Anyone have questions so far on that section? Right. We're still all on the same page. Beautiful, beautiful. Don't worry, guys. There's a Q&A box. If you feel a little bit shy to to talk, you can put in a question over here, whatever it may be, and then Musa will alert me and I will answer it as we go along. I know this is very technical stuff now, so if you do feel like you need a little bit of me to go slower, sometimes I do speak fast, just let me know. Right, so that is Google Dorking. That is one activity that already, if you start doing on your own website, you could begin to secure or at least slow down the threat actor, right? There's so many more other things that we can now continue and also cover. So that is Google Dorking. And then the next thing we have here is WHOIS lookups. Now, WHOIS lookups, you can do them any way that you want. So here I search for NS lookup. You can use the website versions. WHOIS lookup. There's one by GoDaddy over here. I prefer using this one. And this is just a database of all domains, IP addresses, and so forth. So this is another resource that I make very, very valuable use of, right? If you guys have, if I want to find out if the target has any publicly facing IP address, any public facing IP address that I want to know more about, maybe they have a website that they have up, right? So just go back to Facebook again, because it's easy, right? And then you go, I'm already getting IPv4 addresses, I'm getting IPv6 addresses. That wouldn't be really useful to me when conducting a pen test, but the IPv4 addresses very much will, right? So by obtaining this IPv4 address, I can already start to, as you see further on, enumerate what's sitting behind it, what can I make use of, and so forth, right? I can get the TXT records, I can get the mail, MX records are just mail exchange records. The NS records, those are your name server records as well. And then these are as well other records like a statement of authority and other information that I may find useful. So with WHOIS, you can get information like, for example, let me see if I can get. So let me show you the other version. So there's the website WHOIS, and then another way to perform WHOIS is the terminal. So I'm using Kali Linux. This is fairly easy. Windows has made it very, very easy to install Kali Linux now. All you have to do is go to your Microsoft Store. I won't show it here, but just go to your Microsoft Store, search for Ubuntu, download that first. Then they search for Kali Linux, download that, and it's ready to go, right? Nothing much harder than that. But if you want a little bit more separation in terms of virtualization, in terms of, I don't know, you want your operations to be more, you want tools that are more specific to what you want. You want an operating system. If you want to create a separation between your personal work or your work, or your work and you know hacking activities, but sometimes you don't want those two things to mix. You can set up a virtual environment using VirtualBox, VMware, and so forth. I'll allow you guys to search that on YouTube. Very, very easy to do. So back again, WHOIS, right? So just going to do WHOIS Facebook. Hopefully this works and I don't have any DNS resolution issues. Ah, perfect, it worked. Okay, so look at all this information, right? You get the domain name, the registrar domain ID, the date that it was registered, right? And the dates where it was registered in clusters, right? Often shortly before major attacks, right? The registrant, maybe who registered this website. I could use that for various aliases, or maybe if there's maybe fake identities that I want to do, or even just knowing, okay, who set up this website, right? If I know who that registrar is, it makes it easy for me to just instantly go to, for example, their LinkedIn page, stalk their social media profiles, and try and figure out, okay, what password could this person possibly use? Because if they register that domain, that means that person is in a place of high position. So usually you have a name here. I know with our Zimbabwean site, if you search up, you will get a name. Not do that, just in case you guys may end up using this information in a bad way. But with the Facebook WHOIS lookup, they did a good job, right? They were able to mask the registrar themselves, right? They gave them an IANA ID, and then which makes it a little bit difficult now for me, because it's just an IANA ID. I don't know what the ID is for. So here you've got your name server, and a name server. These name servers are what's within the facebook.com domain, right? So suggesting that Meta Inc. manages its own DNS infrastructure. If it was different name servers, maybe I'm looking like at Adept Solutions, and then I see a name server for web dev, then that would mean that web dev is probably managing our DNS infrastructure. Right, so it's common practice for large organizations to maintain control and reliability over their DNS resolution. But as we go further forth into the 21st century, I'm seeing this start to be reduced less and less. You also get a domain status, right? These statuses are what indicate that the domain is protected against unauthorized changes or transfers or any deletions on both the client and the server side, right? So this usually highlights maybe a strong emphasis that Facebook has on security and control over the domain, right? And then the domain owner, that one is easy, right? This is who the domain actually belongs to. Okay, so that is WHOIS, right? I showed you the Facebook version. I showed you the web browser version. Okay, so I was doing NS lookup, sorry. So this is the WHOIS, right? Still the same information as you can see, domain status and everything else. Wow. Okay, sorry, I've been told that you guys are getting way too many echoes, so I'm just going to reduce my volume just a little bit. Apologies for that. Okay, I hope that is a bit better. Musa, is that better?
Yes, Tendai. Yes, Tendai.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so again, that's the same information, but it looks a bit nicer, right? It's a bit neater than just looking at all this mumbo jumbo. You get this nice thing that you can look at, and domain admin, you see right there, masking all that information and so forth. That is the WHOIS lookup. Then there's the NS lookup. Sorry, I was using NS lookup. So NS lookup is where I now try to find what is the IPv4 address. right? What is the canonical name record for this website? And so when you're so this is when what we call, when we're using NS lookup, this is when we're now doing essentially we're now doing domain name resolution digging, right? DNS digging. So there's of course the website version, but then there's also the in command versions as well. So the website version is very easy to use. Now the in command versions within our terminal is very easy. If you install Kali Linux, it will come with this command already. So you've got your dig. Of course, if you guys want to understand how dig works, you can just say dig-h, I'm pretty sure, and then the help function tells you v's to print, and then you get the man page as well, the manual page. Apologies. I'm just going to say dig facebook.com, right? And there we go. The A here is the IPv4 address. If you see a AAA, that is the IPv6 address, right? So that's where the differences are. So as you can see, I can dig maybe the domain name, or I could say maybe I want the IPv6 address. I can say dig facebook.com, and then I can say 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's pod A actually, right? And there you go. That is the IPv6 address, and that is the same IPv6 address, if you check, that we have over here, right? Exactly. Yeah, that's the same that we have over there. So perfect. So what else can I even dig for? I can dig for the MX record. Now, an MX record is just a mail server record, right? So if any of you are hosting your own mailboxes, this is how you could check what the IP address of your mailbox is. So if I just say dig MX, and there we go. That is the mailbox server for facebook.com. This is also useful when someone is sending phishing emails, right? And you want to check and make sure that, okay, is this MX record matching with the headers that I got in the emails that I'm being sent? This is where you check it, right? If you want to dig the name server records, dig NS, right? If you want to dig the canonical name, dig CNAME, TXT, and so forth and so forth. So you can go. So the commands are there. I will see if I can share with you a cheat sheet that you can use that I use myself for following this session. And yeah, so that is your NS lookup. Of course, there are other things, but I won't go that deep in it. But let's say you want to search for a record of facebook.com at the DNS server of Google. That's easy. You just say dig, and then, okay, what is the DNS server of Google? This is a little bit advanced. I'll click on this. Dig. Then DNS servers of Google is 1.1101. There's 888, so I'll just use 111. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. And then what is the domain name I'm looking for? Facebook.com. So now it will go into that mail server, that DNS server at 111 and check what are the records for Facebook.com that are there. And of course, these are the records that we get from that. Yeah, and then another one, final one. Let's say you want to see everything. I just want to see everything on this website, on this target. It's digfacebook.com, any bang, and you see it will take a little bit of time as it collects. Right, it just retrieves all of the available DNS records for that domain. Right, so there you go. Okay, it's still checking. Still looking for it. Give it a few minutes. Okay, for some reason it didn't. Oh, interesting. So maybe that could be me not being able to get to a DNS server. But you get the point. With dig, it's just any. There's also NS lookup, right? Just as the exact same things. H. Let me check if I'm getting it correct. Sorry. What is the correct lookup? Need to put an equal sign? Okay. Okay, all right. But NS lookup works the same. Easy way. If I will send that cheat sheet as well. I think I don't know. Maybe I don't have it installed yet. But just like Dig, any MX, it gets you the same information. Okay, that is WHOIS lookups. The big thing, another one is your Shodan and the DNS dumpsters. Okay, so Shodan is very interesting site. Essentially, what this site does, it logs all the information on any networking device that comes onto the internet. So if any device joins the internet, it will be shown in Shodan. So here, as you can see, these are some of the queries that I was just running to show you as an example. And what all this is doing is searching for all Nginx servers with the SSL certificate of Zimbabwe, and it's filtering that out by region of Zimbabwe, right? And as you can see, I get all this information. I won't click into it because this is a company and I don't want to expose too much about them. But this is publicly available, right? Shodan is free for everyone to use. You just need to quickly make an account, and then you can access it and start making use of that as well. So you get API keys where you can then put it into other pen testing tools, all of that other stuff. So Shodan, really good site. Want to go too in depth with it because it's quite a dangerous tool. And I do warn you to please use this with care, because once you begin to start interacting with these web servers or interacting with any of these top endpoints, you're now entering into a realm where you need permissions to explicitly do that. So as you can see, there's also a cheat sheet that they have here that you can use if you're looking for SSH servers and things like that. And then there's also a big thing where there's this Shodan, awesome Shodan search queries. This is what threat actors use on a regular, and it has so much stuff. I mean, you can look for industrial control systems. Industrial control systems are like your industry machinery endpoints, right? Because with our electricity, power generation our manufacturing plants are now being brought onto the internet. So if you're looking for queries for that, boom, click that. You see, you can already start to sign for Samsung electronic smart boards. I know we're having a lot of smart boards popping up in Zim. Right, that's just where you find gas station pump controllers. Right, so as you can probably tell, this is information that's quite powerful. I won't go too much in depth with it, but I will show you that these things exist, and this is what threat actors are using. So for remote desktops, webcams as well, all of the network attached storages, network infrastructure. I think that one's the most interesting. It's got for Mongo Express, Jenkins, if you've got Docker APIs in any of your environment, Android root bridges, right? I'm talking to those people who like to root their Android devices and their Apple devices and then connect them onto the internet. Yeah, that's a problem, right? So it can go it goes on and on and on. Trust me, you can keep going. Another big one I will say is the Exchange. This is for Microsoft. Of course, people are no longer using 2013, 2016. I would hope that we are all updating our exchanges and we're not still on the old environments, but there are some who are still there. And this is how they get you, right? Quite easy. Okay. So, and then the last thing is public LinkedIn. Now, what happens here is, let's say, I was just going to check the job posting. So, I'll put it as country. Okay. Okay, so let's just click one of these and let me show you what I mean. All right, so here it's a normal job posting, right? They ask you for qualifications. Hey, we want, so this is for Ninja One in Austin, Texas. Right? So here they want someone who has strong emphasis on React and modern front-end development. Yeah, makes sense for a web developer. They need to have 7 years of recent working experience with JavaScript and CSS. Okay, a bit high, but not too unattainable. And then they need to have 5+ years working experience with React. And of course, there are 8 more items as well that they need to have. Now, you would say, okay, Tendai, how are you going to use this information maliciously? Well, I now know Ninja One uses React. I now know Ninja One uses JavaScript and CSS underneath. Right? And all I had to do was search for that job posting. I didn't have to do much. That information, I can then now make sure I'm tailoring my payloads or I'm tailoring my attacks to include things that have work with React or JavaScript. Right? If I send a payload, I won't start stressing up. Okay, could first start off sending a Python payload, and then I'm going to change and try this other language payload. No. I already know they use JavaScript. So when I'm writing my payloads, I'm just going to write them in JavaScript. I'm going to save time. Boom, boom, bang. I do what needs to be done. So that is how that can happen as well. And another thing I want to quickly mention without moving on is WaterWeb or Web Analyzer. So WaterWeb or built with, these are all extension tools that can be installed in the browser that will tell you, look, it tells me what widget is being used. Right, of course, the details, you need to pay for it. But and everything else you need. Okay, but you get the tech stack, right? WordPress plugins that are being used, Elementor, right? And if anyone has ever used the WP Scan, you would know knowing what WordPress plugins are being used is 98% of the job. After that, it's just letting the tool do its job, right? And then you've got your sidekits. OpenResty is being used as a framework, right? If you want a little neater of a look, there you go. You even get the version number, and you say, okay, this is crazy because if our website is up to date, all I have to do is just go and search exploit and search up the version, right? Search exploit WordPress version, blah 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 blah, and then I'd get all the exploits. Right. So as you can see, I didn't hit the version, just in case we need to update ours. I want to give you guys ammo to instantly after this meeting not start attacking us. Let us secure and make sure we're secure first. But there you go, search exploit, right? And search exploit, all it does, it correlates all the payloads, right? All the payloads on the internet that could be used to hack, right? So each day someone sits down, adds new payloads into this database. All you have to do is say search exploit -update, and then it updates the database. And look at all of these payloads that I could make use of. So we won't go in depth into this on how you can then extract the payload and then deploy it. That will be for another time. For now, I just wanted to show you that is how easy it can be. Right. So if I were to use Shodan and search for a certain IP address and find out maybe that IP address, what it's running underneath, let's just say facebook.com. I'm pretty sure they don't have any outdated plugins or anything like that. As you can see, these are some of their endpoints that are publicly facing. Let's say if I click any one of them, let's see what information I have here, right? Okay, I'm already being told port 22 is open. That's not good, right? I'm being told it's using OpenSSH, right? I'm being told the version of OpenSSH that is being run under there. Nginx, okay, but at least they're not leaking out the version, which is okay. But the fact that they're leaking this out, all I now have to do is just go into search exploit, OpenSSH, version number, and we can call that a day. Right? So that's that. So that is passive reconnaissance, right? As you can see, on all of the activities that we just talked about, I did not once have to go and touch any of these endpoints, right? This was all publicly available information. That is the scary part, and I'm trying to drive home is to say, our websites are leaking way too much information. We need to start closing that faucet so that we slow down the time of attack and also make it very difficult. Look, hackers are brilliant. Smart people, I don't think I can put myself as one of those brilliant smart people. I'm just okay. But there are people who can hack any machine. Just give them time, they will do it. But we want to slow it down. We want to make it very difficult for them. We want to increase the barriers of hacking, if I can say. We don't want any script kiddie who has just attended Tendai's CEH course. We don't want anyone who has just attended CompTIA Pentest Plus to instantly be like, okay, now I can start hacking people, right? We want to increase the barriers of entry, and that is how we create defense. Okay, so any questions so far on the material that we have covered? Right, these are some of the screenshots of the things I was looking for. Engine X in Zimbabwe. Right, this one is more, it's the one that I showed you. So as you can see, there's so many Engine X's in Zimbabwe. So if I had an exploit for Engine X, that is where I would start. Right, then maybe I would then filter it down and put a version number if I know that version is explicitly exploitable. Okay, let me just check my chat. Give you guys a few seconds if there are any questions. If there are none, we can continue on. All right, good, perfect. So we can go on to, okay, now that we have talked about that, what can we do about it? Oh, actually, sorry. First, we need to go to active reconnaissance. I was wondering. Okay, so we have done the passive part. I have collected all that information. I have recorded all that information. Right now, okay, there's only so much you can glean from just doing passive reconnaissance on publicly available data. Right now, it's time to do the active part. Now, this involves directly interacting with the target domain's DNS server to uncover subdomains or whatever it may be that we're looking for. So we're going to start looking into, okay, and another big activity that people usually look for when they're doing active is subdomains, right? That is what we want to see. I want to know, okay, there's Adept Solutions .co.zw. Are there any other subdomains under Adept Solutions? That is where the money is. Trust me, when we perform pen tests, because a lot of us create subdomains and we forget about them, and that is okay. That is a human being thing that happens, right? We forget that this subdomain is live. Maybe it has a login page that is outdated and she hasn't been paid attention to or hasn't been maintained appropriately. Right? So this is where threat actors first go to, right? Active subdomain enumeration. Bang, they're already on it. They're trying to find out what subdomains can we glean from this. And then there are also other things like port scanning. Right? Now, this is very noisy. I will give you a tip. When I perform port scanning, I do not perform it straight out of the gate during a pen test. I would rather perform it when I'm already within the environment itself. So when we are waiting and you're seeing a port scanning event happening, yes, majority of the time, if they're script kiddie, then they're doing it from outside your environment. But if they know what they're doing, it's too late because they're doing it from within your environment. Within your environment, it raises less alerts, it makes less noise. Now, because Nmap and Ping Sweep and all of these other tools have been so widely released, the SIM tools now know how to detect them and fingerprint them appropriately. So we stopped doing that port scanning thing outside. I would rather get the open ports from Shodan, right? Then understand, okay, I probably need to attack port 2022 because it's open here. Only then when I'm inside and I've delivered I'm safely delivered my payloads within, then I can start to download Nmap, right? Bring it from my environment and bring it within your environment. And then I can do a port scan. There's also banner grabbing. Banner grabbing can be easily as just sending a curl command, just saying curl to www.i to www.facebook.com. I will show you how you can do this. And usually in those headers, there is so much being leaked that I can make use of. even worse if I am using a tool like Burp Suite, where it can analyze the headers and the packets that are going within from me and to the target. With that, I even get much more valuable information that I can use to attack. And then there's also OS fingerprinting. It's just knowing, okay, what is running down there. We're using Linux. Am I attacking a Windows machine? Because that differs. File systems, how I attack it, and so forth. So the tools that we have there are Nmap, but of course Nmap is no longer being used outside. So if you ever see your SIEM flagging a port scanning event through Nmap or any other tool, or you better attend to that as soon as possible, because it could be either one of two things: a script kiddie or someone who absolutely knows what they're doing and they're already inside. And then there's Netcat as well. Then there's Dig, that one I showed you, NSLOOKUP, those I showed you too. So with subdomain, so with active reconnaissance, here we start to use a little more serious tools. So I'm going to show you some of the tools that we use. Okay, so maybe let me first start off. Hitting up DNS DNS enumeration. So let me just see where I have. All right, so I have it over here. Perfect. So there are multiple tools that you can use to perform active reconnaissance, right? So DNS enum is one of them. This is just a comprehensive DNS enumeration tool, right? It supports directory and brute force attacks for discovering those subdomains that I was talking about, right? Remember when I told you that as soon as we have done the passive reconnaissance, done a little bit of WHOIS, and then I see, okay, this is the IP, okay. Then after that, we're now going to DNS enum and trying to find your subdomains. An easy command here that you can use on your environment to find out what is exposed. You can say DNS enum, then you can say -- enumeration. So a good way to get help if you don't understand what and how is DNS -h, sorry, DNS enum, sorry, H, and then you get your manual page, right? And this gives you all the, let me zoom out of this a little bit. Okay, a little bit less readable. But as you can see, -- enum is what we're using. This is just a shortcut equivalent to these are the options that it has. -h to help get the help message. No reverse, skip the reverse lookup. So this is where you get the switches. If you want to output, if you want to update DNS enum, you want to perform a WHOIS lookup on top of a DNS enumeration, right? Okay, I found this DNS, I found this subdomain, but I also want to know, okay, what is running under the, what is the framework running under that subdomain? I'm just going to say DNS enum -- enum. Yeah, W, right? And then -F is where we now are putting in the word list. So when you're enumerating subdomains and you're doing active reconnaissance, what we use is called a technique called brute forcing. I'm pretty sure since if you guys have done IT or if I have any IT specialists in here, you know, with brute forcing, we've got a word list, right? We've got a word list that we have, and we essentially want to try every single word in that word list until we get until we hit something that is okay, right? So we're sending network packets and exchanging the words in the word list. So let me see if I can find where my word list. Let's Yes. Okay, then wait, let's go. Okay. Okay. Anyway, I probably don't. I think I don't have one. Just too far. I'm just going to go sick list over there. So this is the word list I was talking about. And as you can see, I have got the sec list is very easy to download. If you're on sudo apt get, then I think it's sec list. Yeah, it's sec list or something. And then you have it in your environment. So if you call it up, just go sec list, and then you've got your word list there. So CD, what do I want here specifically? I'm looking to discover, right? What am I trying to discover? Let's see, I've got DNS, file systems, infrastructure. I want to find that, then LS, and as you can see, these are all what? These are the word lists I'm talking about. So let me just cat one. Hopefully it's up. As you can see, these are the words I'm talking about, right? So to try www.adept.com/ and then to try SQL / internet / www / mail / all of these. Right? So word lists never ending. Right? The word lists are always being made. Good, I have DNS in here. So I'm just going to go do it here instead because I don't think DNS enum, and then dash enumerate you, then -f. I'm now calling up the word list. Now, to know where your word list is located, because you need to put a file path, you can just go sec list here, call it up. Sorry, sec list. And you see, so it's in user share sec list. Okay, that's easy enough. Yeah. But it was in share somewhere. Okay, now I need to find out what exactly do I want to use, right? So remember, we want to use the discovery one. So that's the discovery. I'm looking for DNSs specifically. So DNS, and then I want to use the subdomain one, the one that I recently just maybe this. Which one do we have? Boom. Right? That's the whole command. Enter. Then, as you can see, going through everything. So it's doing the passive section, it's finding the A records, it's telling me what our name server is, and I think I will stop it there. I won't divulge any much else. As you can see, all the subdomains, student.adept, or everything that is exposed, and that I can go in and start to test is available. Right? It's even got our mailbox, of which it's cloud first. I can tell this is in Microsoft Office. It's a Microsoft endpoint. Right. So student.adept. Right. So that is, you get the point. Subdomain enumeration. That is how you do it actively. There's so many more other tools. I mean, there is FIAS, there's DNS Recon, there is Amass. Right, there is Amass is a really good one. Asset Finder, Pure DNS. The list goes on and on and on. So, yeah, that is one of the ways people do passive reconnaissance. One of the ways people do active reconnaissance. Any questions on that so far, or any clarifications that you'd like if I show you one last little nifty trick? Okay. I haven't seen any.
A lot, and they are too quiet. I hope they are understanding.
Take a breath and just do a live check and make sure that everyone is still alive in here. Guys,
Yes, please show some loves, show some likes. Yes, thank you for the reactions.
all right. I hope I am not putting you guys to sleep. I know this is a little bit technical as it comes, but I really wanted to impart some of this knowledge. Okay, and then HTTP headers, right? You've got your curls. This is the one I was talking about, curl-I, and then you, of course, okay, so let me first start off with that. Curl-I, that curl-I, let me remove that HTTP. This is active reconnaissance. This is just using curl, sending a network packet, and it was it tells me 301, it has been moved, it's using HTTP version 1.1, redirected by WordPress, right? So a hacker doesn't even need to do much. Just by doing that, they already know, okay, this person is using WordPress. Where am I being redirected to? Okay, I'm being redirected to this. So that means they probably are using only port 80 is open, but they're pushing us to use port 443. So I can even, let's say I want a little bit more information on that header. We go curl -I and then paste that. Follow that redirect. And then you get the 200, okay, the status code, the link, WBJSON, whatever. And this is mainly running under Apache, right? Now I know. Now if I'm able to enumerate what type of Apache version it is, that's easy because I can then now just say search exploit, Apache version, blah, 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 and instantly start to attack this endpoint. So that is also a headers. Another active reconnaissance technique is WHOIS. So I looked at the in-browser version. This is the command line version if you don't like, if you just want to be seen as a pure hacker, you can just use this as well. It's just easy. WHOIS give you all the information you can find. So WHOIS in command line is a bit too revealing, so I'm not going to allow it to fully finish because there's a lot of more information there that I just want to hide. All right, so we have gone over those. Yeah, and I think the last thing I want to show you guys, let's see, infrastructure identification. I think, yeah, and I think, okay, so another thing is the Wayback Machine. That is another thing that I wanted to show is that, look, people use the Internet Archive maliciously, right? Let's say I want to know, okay, what certain URLs were available, right? Maybe this person has secured the environment now, but I know last year or the year before that this environment wasn't secure. All people do is they go into the Wayback Machine and then instantly they start looking for what they're looking for, right? So in here, they put the website that they want, then they can view the website through the stages and see, okay, what has changed, what has, and so forth. Another big thing I want to call people out on is this idea of well-known URIs. Sorry, I'd almost forgotten about this. Well-known URIs are sort of like parts that everyone knows and that people make use of. I get it, are meant to be to help the website. I know one of them is /robots.txt. Now, this has made it way too easy for us to be, as you can see, these guys have blocked it. Perfect. A lot of our organizations, we have this publicly accessible to everyone. Please let us not. It makes it very easy for me to know, okay, which certain places am I allowed to visit? Which certain places would there be some interesting things? Another big one is sitemap.xml. Oh my days, this one makes me mad because I get to see the whole website structure. I get to see all the endpoints, even if they're trying to hide them. I get to see them in a nice, easy page in XML format, and I can see your whole. Basically, I lay your website. Your website just becomes naked, and I get to see everything underneath, where to access it, what is the endpoint, and so forth. So I think that is everything on knocking our doors, right? That is the passive reconnaissance itself, right? That is the active reconnaissance itself. And again, I will warn you, these techniques can be loud, right? They're more likely to be detected by a good firewall or by a SIEM tool. So when you do any of these activities without explicit information, that is a problem. So the next thing that people want to know is, okay, what information do they even want? Right? We've gone over this. We've talked about all this stuff and these techniques and these tools that they use. What are they even looking for? Right? And it's easy, right? They want IP addresses, right? They want to be able to identify which endpoint to attack. They want subdomains. They want open ports. Sorry, this is misspelled, but they want email addresses for phishing, right? They want to know what is your software version, outdated software to exploit. They want to know your subdomains that you forget or you are forgetting to monitor, or even just a leaked stuff directory on your website, right? They want to know who works in what department and how is it best can I attack this organization using that information. So remember, they only need one crack in the armor, and Recon is what gives them that blueprint to find that crack. Right? The reconnaissance phase is what helps them to be thorough, for them to find that little one crack that's going to allow them into your environment. So that is something you very much need to be aware of. So what can you do about it? How do you defend yourself? So after all that doom and gloom, I want to bring you back up and say, good news. Once you understand Recon, now you can begin to fight back, right? You can now begin to monitor what's publicly visible. You can now begin to train your staff to avoid oversharing things online, right? Training your HR manager to say, look, if we're going to put a job application, maybe let's not share exactly what type of frameworks we are running underneath, and only divulge that information when someone has been asked to attend an interview, right? Regularly scan your digital footprint, right? I showed you how to do active reconnaissance. I showed you how to do passive reconnaissance. These are things that your tech department needs to be doing on a regular. This is not just for hackers only. This is for you too. These are things that you also need to be doing too, so that you understand, okay, where are we exposed? Where are we weakest? And where can we improve? Right? And then also running penetration tests, right? Like the ones we do at Adept Solutions. We run penetration tests regularly on our environment so that okay, we may not be 100% perfect. I will tell you, no website will ever be, or no endpoint will ever be secured 100%. That is impossible. That is a lie. It will never happen. But what we can do is we can put defense in depth layers that will slow down or make the job difficult for attackers. And that was what we were after, because this is all about investing time and money. Of course, there are some attackers with unlimited time to try and to get where they need to get to. But those ones are nation state sponsored hackers, right? The normal hackers who are there for profit, if they can't easily exploit your thing, they're moving on, right? They're not going to waste time on something that can happen. But if it's a government institution and maybe it's a nation sponsored hacker who's trying to get in, then the story becomes a little bit different. Right? Then we now need to focus on monitoring and making sure that we have visibility over environment, so that even if they do get in, the alert reaches to us as quickly as possible. So, but for us normals who are using private, for us private organizations, right? Time, they're investing time. So the more time, so the more expensive we can make it, the more time costly we can make it for these threat actors, the better. And red team simulation, guys. Do these as much as you can. Simulate being attacked, because that way it helps you understand how or where the bottlenecks are and what you need to improve for the time that it actually does happen, if that makes sense, right? You need to prepare, you need to rehearse for it. It's just like that, this presentation. If I had not rehearsed, ooh, that would have been a problem, right? I would have been forgetting commands, things would have been working properly. So you need to rehearse, okay, when we get attacked, who is the first person that needs to be contacted, right? That needs to be set out. What is that person's duties? What do they need to do? If they're being contacted at 3 a.m., do they need to wake up? Do they need to go to the office, attend their laptop? What do they need to shut down, and so forth? All of those things, right? Who's going to be responsible for bringing the website up, or whatever endpoint it may be? All of those things are very important. All right, and then of course removing any unnecessary public-facing data. Right? If you have any data that is unnecessarily being stored on your website, it's best to just remove it and make sure that it's not there in the first place. Just putting the minimum amount of information, least information that is needed on the website is the best way to go. So this is where we come in, right? And at Adept Solutions, this is our bread and butter. We offer penetration testing, but mainly we offer training to staff, right? We want to train end users because we understand the weakest link is always the end users.
All right,
and then, so that is one thing we have. We've got cybersecurity awareness training where we don't want people just clicking onto any phishing link. Right? We want people to be able to identify, okay, this is a phishing link, this is not. And we even have simulations to ensure that people who are clicking on phishing links, you can just send out a test, maybe on a Wednesday, send out a test, and then those people that click those phishing links, I'm sorry, they're going to have to come back for a retraining, right? That is good, that is good, that is active. You're continuously checking and making sure that everyone is on the same page, because it only takes one person and it only takes one click. Right? So training your staff is very, very, very important, and we encourage it the most. So where we come in at Adept Solutions, these are the things that we do. Penetration testing, blue team exercises. If you want red team or blue team exercises planned for you, we can do them for you. We can show you how to run them. And of course, you can take over when you feel that you guys are now capable enough to do them yourselves. But if you want support, we continue to help you with that as well. Penetration testing, we perform. This is very important now that the DPA law act has come into effect. We all are required to conduct at least one penetration test. Right? And I'm seeing a common trend where people are like, okay, I'm just going to run an automated tool in my environment, and that's it. I can forget about it. Right? I'm just going to run a vulnerability scanning tool in my environment and forget. No. There are some things that, of course, our tools will be able to catch that a human being or penetration tester cannot. But it's the ingenuity and creativity you're after. Yes, a tool will have its set of rules that it needs to follow, but what if you meet a threat actor or a hacker who's thinking outside of the box, who's thinking outside of the rules that you have set? What happens after that, right? So it's not enough just to run a vulnerability scanning tool. You need to do more. Penetration testing, manual testing is what is required, because at the end of the day, we're protecting. At the end of the day, the hackers who are attacking us are doing this manually. So recon and vulnerability assessments, we also do. Penetration testing and vulnerability assessments do have a differentiation. And with the vulnerability assessments, we also want to help you remediate. Penetration testing, we're just coming in, hacking, telling you, hey, this is what's wrong. In vulnerability assessment, we're helping you remediate those issues. We're not just performing a pen test and allowing you to solve them yourselves, but then we're coming back and retesting. Okay, maybe you need to fix this. This is how you could hide or potentially stop people from accessing the robots.txt or .sitemap endpoint. And then you fix that. We come back, we retest. Can I still access it? Can I try and subvert that logic, and so forth? And it keeps on going on until you get satisfied. Right? And then you've got your AI-assisted security analytics and those. Okay, so with AI analytics, I'm very sorry. I know I said I would go into it, but I didn't much. This is what I mean by using AI. So how has AI made this very easy for us? I will show you. Let us say I want to find some information about a certain target, right? And maybe there's a command that I need, or maybe I'm just a script kiddie. I want to know, okay, how does one go ahead enumerating certain endpoints? All I have to do, honestly, is just type in enumerating endpoints target. Boom, I get the exact breakdown. I get the tools that I can use, GoBuster, DirBuster, and FAF. So when before this information was locked behind sort of experience and understanding research and current understanding of what tools are working back in the day, now ChatGPT just spits it out, correlates it for us, and it can be used. So and it even it even makes an API enumeration workflow for me. Right? So I can run automated tests on this regularly. So that is again how AI has made the barriers of entry much lower for cybersecurity, and that is why we need to be much more on top of it. So we can use it to our advantage, and you can use it to your advantage as well, right? You can use it to search up, okay, how do I ensure that I'm securing this certain endpoint? Don't be shy to make use of AI. It is an assistant. It is not a job taker. I promise you. It is an assistant that will help you do your work and help you be more efficient. And then if it's someone who knows what they're doing, if you're a penetration tester already, or if you're a security person and you understand a little bit of more, then you can get better information, right? So how can I limit the threads to be healthy, right? That is information that's further information. So where a script kiddie will only be able to talk about this is where you're getting advanced when you know a little bit about the field, right? And that is how artificial intelligence essentially has made it very easy for attacks to happen as well. So it even gives you tips. Let's say how a VPN, right, to make sure that I'm masking my IP addresses, I'm masking my DNS server, and so forth. I get it, right? So again, you get the gist of this. Trevor will talk about the chatbots um, that, we have here at Adept Solutions in a bit. So let me just quickly go over so he can come in. So we also train your teams on these same techniques, right? Safely, ethically, and expertly. Right? We have laboratory environments that will allow you guys, or we call them cyber ranges or cyber firings ranges, where you can spin up a virtual machine and actually begin to do this yourself, actually test, improve, get better at these skills. We want you to do this ethically. Again, I know I didn't emphasize this, but I'll emphasize it as much as I can now, is that we want to perform penetration tests ethically. All right. The moment you start going into the unethical end, right, and trust me, we will find you. We will definitely find you, and we'll find out who you are, and we'll make sure the law catch up to you. Okay, so this was quite an issue. I used Shodan. Again, my time is running out. I want Trevor to come in, but it was basically a story time where I was just going to tell you about how login pages, unattended to login pages, are a problem. Right? I was able to find the banking institution's login page to their Outlook emails. Once I was in their Outlook emails, once I got that endpoint, all I had to do was brute force the users. Okay, brute forcing took me, I think, about 3-5 days. Machine was running consistently, but I somehow was able to get the password. And once I got the password, it was open season. Right? And this is a banking institution. I was seeing their emails, and then once I was within it, I was able to elevate my privileges, traverse horizontally. So that is something we'll hopefully look at next when we're talking about enumeration. I think that is a big issue where, yes, our organizations are well protected from the outside coming in, but are we as well protected in the inside as well? that's a food for thought that you guys can keep. You. So if you want to try it yourself, get in contact with us at sales@adept.co.za, or you can get in contact with me personally at tendai@adept.co.za. I've got cyber labs that if you want them, I've got training programs I can recommend depending on what you want to achieve. I've got Recon assessments, I can perform them for you. And end user simulations, we have tools like KnowBe4, who we've got a really strong partnership with, who can help you make sure that your end users are well trained and your end users are not the source of your vulnerabilities. So, right. So I'm just going to let Trevor now come in, but I'm also going to give you guys, do you guys have any questions so far about what we have talked about? Any comments, any additions, things that you have found interesting that you might want to apply before I let Trevor come in and start talking about the AI chatbot and how easy that was for him to. Yes, Trevor, you can unmute definitely.
So what would be the name of the training that you train our teams? Is it ethical hacking? Is it CompShare? What is the name of the training?
All right, good question. So it would very much depend on what the end goal is. So if we're trying to do end user training for people who are sitting at our desks, the accounting department, or in the C-suite, or executives or managers, they don't need to understand the nitty-gritties. We'll just give those end user cybersecurity awareness training, and also maybe end user phishing simulations, right? And we'd stop it at there, because that is just about as much as they need to know. But if it's for cybersecurity professionals, if you want the practical side of it, we've got your CEHs, we've got your web application vulnerability penetration testing cert, you've got your penetration testing plus, pen test plus, and so forth. And then if you're that's on the red, so that is on the attacking side. And then of course there is Hack the Box, which I always recommend because it's very, very, very practical with lots of labs that you can make use of. And then if you're on the defensive side, you want to defend the network, then of course I can start to recommend the CISAs and I think CISA, and there's a few other ones as well that I'm forgetting on the defense side. So usually I mainly focus on the offensive side, but there is also a couple. Of course there's your CISSP, but that is more very much top level. It's not really covering the practical side of it. Yeah, there's CISA and there's another one. I think Musa, you can help me see. What else is there on defense? Yeah, Musa is unsure herself. But yeah, there's that. And then of course, if you want more standards, your ISOs, your PCBs, that is also something that that we also give. So it depends generally on what your end goal is. I hope I answered your question. I didn't just sound it. Good, that's good. Any other questions that you guys may have? All right, perfect. So I think now I can hand over to Trevor. Are you ready?
Hello,
Yeah,
Tendai. Thank you so much for the presentation. Unfortunately, we don't have any other questions from the Q&A box. Otherwise, we want to thank you so much for the comprehensive and insightful presentation that you led us. So without wasting much of your time, I would like to introduce our next presenter, who is going to be Trevor. Trevor is going to take us on the AI chatbot showcase. So Trevor is our AI engineer with a passion for building proof of concept systems that blur the line between imagination and implementation when he's not buried in datasets or machine learning models. He's probably wiring up some AI-powered prototype just to see if it can be done. With a knack of blending curiosity with technical skill, Trevor has built a wide range of fascinating projects, from intelligent chatbots to automation tools, often switching code together cutting-edge AI models with practical use cases. For him, it's not just about writing code, it's about turning wild ideas into working systems, whether it's for fun, experimentation, or future scalability. Trevor treats every project as a sandbox to test how far data and algorithms can go. So, Trevor, I'll hand over to you. You can show us your chatbot, how your chatbot works. Thank you.
Thank you, Musa. Okay, guys, so today we're going to talk about why chatbots are a powerful business intelligence tool. We're going to talk about what we have built here at Adept Solutions, this technical stack flow, and then what is the business value of these chatbots. So to start, let's just start with the bigger picture truth. So basically, chatbots aren't just about answering questions. They're about learning. They're about learning from them. Every interaction with someone has with your chatbot is a data point, right? It's a real-time insight into what the customer needs, wants, and also what they don't understand about a product or maybe about the services that you're providing as a business. And unlike traditional analytics, you're not making interfaces from clicks or scrolls. You're getting direct natural language feedback, often before a human ever steps in, right? Think about the implications. You're collecting organic feedback without needing surveys. You can detect trends, trending concerns in the moment they emerge, and not after the damage is done. You're building a searchable, structured log of customer thoughts, what they value, what they fear, what they are confused by, right? And this information can inform us in marketing campaigns, right? What phrases customers use, right? It also helps with product design. Like we get to know what's unclear or hard to use when it comes to our product. Another thing is it helps with customer service training where life agents need to step in, and even business strategy where demand is growing or shifting, right? This is why chatbot logs are gold for business intelligence. They're unprompted, they're contextual, they're scalable, and incredibly cost efficient, right? And effective. And because chatbots work 24/7, you don't need to collect snapshots. You collect streams of intelligence that grow richer over time. The more people interact with them, the more data you get to build on top of them. So here at Adept Solutions, right now we're going to talk about what we have managed to build. So with that understanding, let me walk you through what we have created so far. We have developed a WhatsApp chatbot that's powered by DeepSync's AI via an open router and is fully functional in the local development environment or the local dev. And here is how it works. So I'm going to explain the basics without getting too technical about it. There is basically two steps that I want to talk about. There is the startup process, and then there is the interaction logic. So starting with the startup process, when you run the bot locally, it generates a QR code in your terminal. You scan that QR code with your WhatsApp app, and this links the bot to your WhatsApp session. From then on, the bot behaves like a WhatsApp contact ready to chat, right? Now, the interaction logic, which is the step number 2, is when a user sends a message with an exclamation mark. You guys know the exclamation mark. the bot knows it's an AI prompt, right? It recognizes that I am being called to action, right? It strips the exclamation mark and sends the rest of the message to DeepSync AI via Open Router. The AI processes the prompt and sends a response. The bot then sends that response back to the user in WhatsApp instantly, right? So an example is maybe a user types a message to the bot, right? Starts with an exclamation mark and asks, who won the last World Cup? The bot will reply, Argentina won 2022 FIFA World Cup, etc., right? It's clean, it's fast, it's modular, meaning we can easily upgrade its logic and expand functionality or plug it in other services, right? Now, the technical stack overview for this bot that we've managed to build. For language and runtime, we're using Node.js. And then the chat layer is WhatsApp web.js, right? We have an AI layer. That's where we have DeepSync and Open Router there. Okay. Apologies. Let me try to share my screen. All right, I'll try to share my screen in a bit. Let's just proceed with the chat for now. For the AI layer, we're using DeepSync AI via Open Router, right? And then for transport, we are using WhatsApp Web Protocol via a cloud authentication. Environment, currently we're just running it locally on this machine that I'm going to be showing you and showcasing how it's running. And then, but ready for Docker on all cloud deployment, right? And then the trigger keyword messages like have to be prefixed with the exclamation mark, and then they are sent to the AI. It's lightweight, it's responsive, and it doesn't require hosting or get started. Ideal for demos, pilot, or early proof of concept right now, right? So what is the business value? For this, we're saying that there's always on engagement, right? Whether it's 2 a.m. or a public holiday, the bot is available to respond. Improving customer experience and reducing waiting times, right? It also helps with scalability. So like unlike a human agent, a chatbot handles dozens or even hundreds of chats in parallel, meaning you can grow your reach without like growing your cost in linearly, right? There's also cost reduction. By this, I mean by automating high volume, repetitive questions, right? Like, what does the organization do, etc. You can redirect staff towards higher value tasks like retrenchment, sales, and productive, maybe product innovation, right? There is also an advantage and consistency. So AI ensures that the same high quality answer for this customer is also given to the next customer or even that customer when they come back. Unlike humans who tend to get tired when they ask the same questions over and over, right? There is no miscommunication, there's no mood swings, just factual prompt responses, right? The last one for business value would be insight and data collection. So every message is a window into your audience mind over time, you get keyword trends, you get demand signals, sentiment insights, and behavioral patterns. As you can see, like sentiment insights is whereby we can get to know how our users feel about the chat, maybe the product that they're using, right? Because as they're typing to the chatbot, you can hear the tone that they're using. Maybe they're angry, maybe they are sad, maybe they are disappointed. You can pick that up with our sentiment insights. So all of which you can use for smarter business decisions. We can talk about where can this be applied, maybe use cases, right? So maybe there's customer support. Here we're saying maybe it handles FAQs, order tracking, return policies, troubleshooting, right? We can have lead qualification as a business use case. Maybe ask qualifying questions and maybe capture user information automatically. We also have internal support. Maybe it answers HR, IT, or even company policy queries for employees, right? It's going to also help in education training, maybe answer students' questions, quizzes, and recommend content. We also have like personal assistant, maybe help schedule meetings, set reminders, and give productivity tips. All this can be implemented within a chatbot. You just have to set certain parameters. You have to just give it a certain logic, and it will do all that for you. So I'm going to try to share my screen and just show you just a live demo of the application. Can you see my screen?
No, Trevor.
Okay. I'm having an issue with the privacy policies on this machine. Let me try to.
Okay, apologies for the glitch. We are trying to sort that one out. Whilst we are waiting for Trevor, are there any questions for us? Maybe we can discuss, or any contributions, what you have learned so far from the previous presentation and the chatbot presentation which we are having right now. Any contributions? You can unmute your mic and say it out.
So basically, you are, if I understood very well, you your front end or your customer facing front end is WhatsApp, you have got custom developed software?
Yes.
Confirm if this is what I understood.
Yes. That's the
Thank you.
chatbot that we are working on. Yes. And Trevor is going to show us how the chatbot works for now. Thank you, Mr. Chaurura, for the contribution. Anyone else? Let's keep the flow going. Do we have people in the house?
21.
Perfect. We can now see your screen, Trevor.
Hello, guys.
Yes, Trevor.
I need to. Can you see my screen now?
Yes. But
Right.
the font size is too small.
Let me try to increase it. All right, guys. So basically, what I'm going to try to do is just to launch the chatbot that I've been working on. From my local machine. Index. So it's written in JS. So basically now we are starting the WhatsApp bot and initializing the client. So basically, as you can see, it's already scanned, it's already authenticated to my WhatsApp. So what I need you guys to do is to try one of you at a time and try and send a message with an exclamation to this number that I'm writing right now. I hope all of you can see. Can you confirm?
Yes, Trevor.
All right. I just want one of you guys to just try it and send a message to this number with an exclamation. So maybe you might go exclamation hi. How are you? Make sure you put the exclamation for it to actually work. And then whoever sends that message, we will be able to see it down here, and it will notify us that someone tried to send a message. And basically, the message will be sent to the AI API, and then a message will be returned in response to all that.
Okay, Trevor, while they're doing that, there's a question in the chat box. Mr. Chaurura is asking, how do you set up the bot environment? Maybe you can just highlight that to the audience.
Okay. Let me try to go to my... Okay, I was trying to show you. Is there anyone getting responses to this?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, that's good.
I can, yeah.
I'm trying to access the... Okay. I'm trying to access the question. What's the question again, Musa? Sorry.
Okay, the question is, how do you set up the bot environment?
Okay, so basically, what you have to make sure first of all is you have Node.js, maybe version 16 going up. That's what I would recommend. You need what is it, npm, comes with Node, a WhatsApp account, maybe the one that you're using right now. You also need if you're using Mac OS like I'm using, you need terminal access. So maybe terminal access or maybe PowerShell. All right. You need a Git repository. You need PM2 for project for process management. Then basically to initialize the project, I don't know how I can show this properly. The Teams is not giving me access back to my other screens. Can you still see?
Yes, we can still see the command page.
Okay. I'm trying to move to a different. Okay, it's not allowing me. I'll share a document that will just give the steps in detail, but basically step one is to initialize the project. Then install dependencies, then maybe create a project file. File structure usually is you need node modules, .env, which is the environment. Then the application itself, you can give it any name. For me, I gave it index.js. That's why you saw I prompted it Node.js right about here. You need to write your bot code within the index.js. This is where you give instructions on how the API is sent to the open router, and then you get a response and also catch errors. You need to add environment variables within the .env file. That's where you need to specify the open router API key. For deep sync, you're supposed to just get it off the website. Then after that, I think that's when you get to a point where you run the bot. A QR code will show in the terminal, scan it through your WhatsApp mobile. Then the bot will just start listening for a message that starts with an exclamation mark. From there, you just test it out. Then you can add more optional enhancement. I hope that kind of gives you an idea for when I give you the PDF for the instructions. Hello, sir.
Yeah, I think we can further maybe share him a little bit more detail so he can see. It's because it's kind of hard when you, but yeah, you put a thumbs up, so I think he gets it.
Or I'll try to share the PDF because right now, I don't know what Teams is doing. Let me stop sharing.
Yeah,
Let me
I'll
try.
share after when I send my other material as well.
Okay. Share. Hello, sir. Can you see?
Yeah, we can see.
All right, so within index.js, this is where we basically set up the instructions for the bot to use when it receives messages. We initialize the client, we implement error handling, event handles, we even put a message handler, right? Then we set responses. Maybe if ever we have an issue, this is where we give it parameters as to where how to respond. Maybe the API stops working. It gives a message such as, sorry, I've encountered an error, please try again. This is a 404 error, and you catch this in your terminal. This is the server.js, and then this is the .env. Unfortunately, I kind of can't give this out in the PDF that I'm going to share. This is my API key, which is just private to me. This is so basically the index.js is the one that generates the QR code as well. So after it starts the client, it punches in the API key from the open router, and then from there it just loads the QR code, then you scan it, then it initializes. I hope that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it did.
Okay. So basically, we can talk about what we could do next as recommendations when we are making this chatbots, right? So we could talk about the first thing is cloud hosting and uptime. So we deploy it to the cloud platform like Render, AWS, or Railway. We use a PM2 or a similar process manager for monitoring and for auto restarts, right? In case it goes down. Then we use, maybe we might try to implement, the next step might be trying to implement Meta's official API. For business view, for real business use, we might need to move to WhatsApp's web.js to WhatsApp Business Cloud API. It gives better analytics and doesn't rely on session hijacking as we're trying to do with this one. We can add more maybe context and memory. We can try to implement a short-term memory per session, like how ChatGPT does it, such that it remembers the chats that you had in case you run into a certain issue and you just want to continue the conversation about the product from there, and not just have to start again, right? It helps the customer not repeat tedious conversations. We can try to do system integrations, like connect the bot to CRMs like HubSpot or maybe Salesforce, help desk like Freshdesk and Zendesk, or e-commerce platforms like Shopify, etc. So it can automate real workflows, not just give information. Another recommendation would be maybe security and compliance, encrypt messages so that we avoid storing sensitive data unless necessary. As you could see right now, since it's still in the testing phase, I could see the messages that were coming from the client. And basically, me being able to read that is a security concern, because I'm not supposed to be able to see those. If I can see them, it means a hacker could probably hijack that and see that. So encrypt messages and avoid storing data. We have to follow GDPR and local privacy laws when expanding to production. Furthermore, we need to monitor and analyze, log all conversation, tag common topics, feed them into the dashboard for business analysis. Use that to refine responses and improve our strategy. Human escalation is another point. We need to add fallback that routes complex queries to live agents, either via WhatsApp itself or email, CRM, or maybe CRM ticketing, right? Then we need to keep on pushing for ongoing tuning, maybe build a feedback loop, track the user satisfaction, maybe with that feedback form that says, how was your interaction with the bot? Improve the prompt quality and domain-specific responses, and keep retraining the logic. As you could see right now, it will just give you a generic response when you prompt it. Some of it is not even related to any organization. It's just a general response. It will be further improved. So basically, in summary, what I can say is we've built the core of like smart, flexible WhatsApp bot powered by AI. It's already capable of holding meaningful conversation, responding to user prompts, and it's built in a way that can scale into a production-grade business solution. It's not just a bot; it's a data engine, a customer assistant. It's a business insight tool, all in one. So with some steps in development, integration, and analytics, it can become a cornerstone for both customer experience and internal efficiency. That's about it, guys. Let me try to check for questions. Oh, you got a response in Chinese as POA. So the reason why you got a response from the bot in Chinese is because the DeepSync, as we all know, is basically created in China. So basically the first response it gets after a while of being not more being used, of being idle, will just default to its natural language, right? Basically the reason why we're using a DeepSync API is just so that we have something that doesn't run course while we are testing the bot. But as we further develop it, we're going to be using a more reliable, maybe on-prem bot model that an on-prem chat model that we're going to be using, right?